You sent it to me?
Craig.
Oh, I don't read Messenger. I probably have 900 messages there. I don't read Messenger.
Because I think he sent it to me, and I think I kind of just in Messenger. Oh. That's how we communicate.
Yes, send an email to me if you could.
I'll do that.
And if I was there, anyway, we're live on YouTube here now. So.
Sure.
You can probably let the people in the waiting room.
I'm going to do that right now. Just make sure that you make me host, okay?
Yep, I will as soon as I'm done here.
All right. I'm admitting them.
Good morning, everyone.
Almost wanted to say happy Sabbath.
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, Sherry's on. Yay.
I saw that.
It works.
Oh, I love seeing all of your smiling faces.
Hello, Corey.
Morning.
I think we're all a little bit tired today. I know we got a little bit of a late start. Sorry about that. We also had a few technical difficulties this morning, so we're working through those. So
Yeah,
thank
very
you
good.
for your patience.
Finally was able to get the YouTube and our adventure thing going. So welcome everybody. Hey, we got little Luke. Hi, Luke.
Pastor, there's a question up already that says, will there be a question time today?
I think each of our seminars will have, I know I'll have question time at the end of mine.
I do.
Yeah. So depends on what the questions are. But why don't you type your question and then we can see what that'll be answered. Type your question, Bonnie, in chat, and then we can see if that'll be answered in one of the breakouts. All right, well, welcome back, everybody. What do we have? Quite a few of you. You guys it's been a long weekend, right? Your backsides are sore. I don't know if they're as sore as mine is. Last night I was whooped, but glad that you're here. Let's have a word of prayer together. Alcina, would you lead us, please?
Father, thank you so much for today, for an opportunity to have one last time together to learn more about this adventure program that we have. I'm so thankful, Lord, for the wisdom that's gone into setting this up and all the resources that we have available to us. I'm also, Lord, really, really thankful for each person who's been participating and learning and growing in their own walk. And I'm excited about all this that's going to be able to go back to the different churches to help the families in each of our areas. Lord, I just pray that you'll bless the seminars today, each of the presenters. Lord, please keep the devil out of the techie part of it and all the rest of it as well. I just pray that things will go smoothly and that we can be inspired to work even harder for these wonderful families that you've entrusted to us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. So what we have in the front of us here, I'm gonna zoom in on another aspect here in just a couple of minutes. But the breakouts today are, let me share my screen.
The
I
question,
lost
Pastor
it.
Craig, is about family camp. Do they have to cook food over the fire, and do they need to bring wood?
Good question, Bonnie. You can cook, whatever you bring to cook is how you cook. So if you have a camp stove, you cook on it. If you want to cook over the fire, yes. We don't provide any of that. There's not a kitchen there. So you would cook at your campsite, whatever you bring with you. And the wood question is there's enough wood there for an army, but it needs to be cut up. And so if you have someone that's coming with you that's got a chainsaw or something, a lot of times we'll have a lot of wood, but when we have a lot of events, and we have an event coming up next weekend that on a weekend like this, we go through wood like candy. And so I would suspect that at family camp, there's not going to be a lot of wood cut up, stacked for you. If you don't have somebody that can chainsaw it up and do that, then I'd bring some wood with you. So I might have a crew. I had a crew that said, "Hey, can we come up and cut firewood?" And I said, "Yeah, anytime." And so maybe, so I just don't know if that's going to take place. But good question.
If risk management would allow Pathfinders to do it, I'm sure they would love to do it.
Yeah, they got to be 16 to run a chainsaw on our grounds. Oh, 18. You gotta
I
be
think
18 to run a
Pathfinder
chainsaw.
Camporee is after our weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, but Leader Shop is
Oh, the
up
leadership.
there in the Northwoods. Yeah. So
But the
and
Pathfinder.
there's not much
themselves-
wood. There's not much wood right now. There's hardly any wood there. So they're going to have to cut their own too. But, I don't have this thing right now, so I'll just read these off. Our breakouts today are crafts, some crafts that you can use that have been proven and inexpensive. And then one of our basic staff training is programming and planning. How do you program? How do you run the program, and how do you plan for that program? Dawn's teaching that one. We have club organization. It's another one of our basic staff. We have 2 basic staffs this time. And if you are a first year, we're going to encourage you to take club organization if you're looking for what you think that what you're really going to need to really get going on it. But you can, if you want programming and planning or crafts, you can choose whatever you want. But if you're looking for some guidance of what would be best for you, if you're brand new, club organization will be the one. And this will be the one that'll be taped today as well. And then part of the adventure track, we have working with your conference, your local church, and your conference. So those are the 4 breakouts. If you did not pre-sign, please type which class you want to be in into the chat. That way, I think Tim is doing the assignments here. And
We have a question about
get you
how will
properly assigned.
we get it signed for Master Guide, your classes?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Bonnie. You are on the top of your game today, Bonnie. We are going to be sending a Google document to you, and then what we'll do is it'll have all of the seminars and all of the breakouts that we've done, and then you would just check which ones you attended, and then we'll send you an acknowledgement, a signed acknowledgement by me or somebody that you attended that class, and you'd put that with your Master Guide portfolio. It's the best thing we could do for you with that. So be looking for that in your mailbox. We may put it up on the website here, but that's how we'll get that, so that it'll just be on your honor that, yep, I was at that class. And so good question. Today we're going to zoom in on the having time to invest in the parents, and maybe just by having a plan. I think it was Corey that said being very intentional is really important. If you're intentional and almost even schedule it, that you would contact the parents or the adventurers, even outside of COVID. With COVID, it's really important to do that. But and the purpose would just be, hey, how are you doing? You know, it'd just be a matter of, I had a pastor one time, I was the head elder in Charlotte, and my pastor called me one time, and you know, when the pastor calls, you usually wait for the shoe to drop. Okay, what does he want? And I kept talking and talking, and he says, well, let me pray with you. And so we prayed, and our conversation is about 4 minutes, maybe three or 4 minutes. And he just was shooting the breeze and then prayed with me. And at the end of it, I said, what did you want? And he said, no, and I just called to pray with you. And that, man, was that impressive to me, that my pastor, he called me just to pray with me, just to talk, just to be a friend. He didn't want anything from me. And so as an adventure director, you carry that mantra with you too. When you call your parents, they're thinking, oh, what do they want? What do they want? But if you call them to say, hey, I just called to pray. So I wonder, is it a good time to bring the adventurers over, and can I just have a quick prayer with you? And sure, you know, I don't think anybody ever refuses that. And if it's a bad time, you say, when would be a good time to call? That type of thing. Those type of things just really, really set a tone, and actually sets an example. My pastor set an example for me, just to call people without wanting something, having my hand out for them. And maybe, you know, telephone calls, that was back before texting. Maybe if you texted, I found myself texting prayers to people. And what I found is they saved those prayers. They save that text, and they'll look at that over and over and over again. And you just would text. You seriously gonna text a prayer? I do it all the time. I do it many times a week. I text prayers to people, and it seems to have had even more of an effect than a phone call. But they like to hear the voice, you know. So there's no wrong way to pray, right? And so, if we're intentional in trying to reach them, and reaching them would be the families and the kids, I think that can really, really benefit us all, and it can benefit us because we're serving instead of being selfish when we're looking to serve others. So, and then one of the things that there is out there, and I think that Don may have. Oh, hey, Tim, can you give me co-host, please? We have to swap this hosting back and forth. We've gotten pretty good at it. And behind the scenes here, I'm going to share a screen. There's a thing called a parent pin. It's called Anchoring in Christ. And I just wanted to share with you, that's something you say, you know, hey, we love you. He says, we'd love to have you come to our club meetings. And this is, and some people, you know, are driven by having some type of a goal. You want them just to come for the sake of their kids. But it's called the Anchoring in Christ. Let me see if I can get this bigger. Oh, there we go. It's called the Anchoring in Christ pin, parent pin, and there are pins that go along with the class that they're teaching. There's the Little Lambs and the Busy Bees, Sunbeams, all of the classes. But these are for a purpose to recognize the parents who have participated in the Adventure Club, who have actually come and have participated during this past year. Present them usually at an investiture. I don't know if investiture is that the end of year event where we recognize all of the kids. And so it's really a good thing that they have the parents come up and be able to recognize them with this pin. And it does more than you realize when they receive that pin, that the adventure director or the pastor, sometimes the pastors actually give that out to them. The adventure leader mostly does it. And it's an honor to, sometimes I get the honor of being able to present that to the parents. So that's something really good. I know that Corey at Oakwood, they do investitures, you know, usually most investitures have the little kids come up scared to death of me, you know, imagine that. But they're scared to death of me. They're scared to death to come up front with themselves. But I know that in Oakwood, Corey has had the entire families come up together. So, and it actually expedites the investiture process so that if they've got 4 kids, you don't have them come up, you know, one by one. The whole family brings their, all their kids, their adventures up, and you present their things with them. And then you present the parent pin with it. And it just, I thought that was just a really a classic thing to just say, hey, we're a family. We're recognizing your family as being really strong. And so this was one of those little toots and whistles that some people might get inspired by to try to retain. But and again, we don't want that. We don't want them to come to club meetings to get the pin, but we want them to come to club meetings because they value their kids' development. All right, well, that's the little zoom in time. So now let's go to our breakouts. And Tim, yeah, do you have your hand?
Yeah, give me one moment. I'm gonna make you host, and then you have to make me co-host, so that way you can pop
All right,
wherever you want.
all right.
So
Very
bear
good.
with me.
And so what we're going to do, guys, is Alcina is doing the club organization. That's going to be the one that's going to be on the main screen. And that'll be the one that'll be videotaped. And she's probably going to go a little bit longer because it's supposed to be like a 90-minute class, and we're trying to put it down into 45 minutes. And so in order to do it justice, we really, she's going to, I don't think she's going 90 minutes, but we'll probably stretch it just a little bit more than 45, just so you'll know. So if you're in a breakout and your breakout gets done and you come back and they're still going, you can join that, but you may have to leave twice in order to leave the meeting. So there's not a meeting after the meeting. This is the last time we're all together. And so I just wanted to tell to publicly acknowledge these district leaders. These folks have put lots of time in. That's right, let's give them a hand. Hey, unmute yourself and clap. Okay, here we go. Unmute yourself and clap. There we go. Because obviously you can see where they have devoted a lot, their entire weekend like you have to this. And so they are an extension of the youth department. They are there to help you if you would like some additional training, whether it's in person or whether it's a Zoom call. These folks will be happy to help you out. Yeah, Sonia?
Are our emails or any contact information available anywhere for these people?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on the website. I'm not sure how that's not on there. We went from the old website to a new website just within the last couple of weeks, and somehow I think our district leaders' information got off of the website. So we'll have that on there.
Pastor Craig,
Well, why don't we throw it in chat? We could put it in chat as well.
Yeah.
Put your name and your email. But yeah, go ahead, Alcina.
Tim still needs you to make him co-host.
We have a
And-
question.
Sorry.
being
And then
added.
you'll need to assign me to my my breakout so I can present.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say, we appreciate everyone that showed up this weekend because without you guys, the clubs don't run. So we appreciate all your work.
There's a question about how they can be added to the adventure mailing list.
I'll put your name in the in chat. Actually, better yet, email me. Let's see, I'm going to put it in there. Email me that you need to be added to the adventure list there. Hey, I don't want to mess this all up, what you've done, Tim. So for the breakout room, what do I need to do? I opened up breakout room and it says, do we need to do it manually? I wonder if we lost them.
Oh, you may have lost them.
Oh, no.
Well, you can do it manually, or see, the problem is that you won't be able to bump in and out when you want to if you're not the host, and that's okay. You're gonna do it manually,
Okay, yeah, we'll work on that. I'll create the breakout rooms. Okay, yeah, I haven't done this, so it's going to be a little bit clunky.
So
actually, yeah, there's the 3 breakout rooms are there, but there's nobody assigned to them right now.
Oh man, that was
all the work you just did is gone. So we'll work it out here.
Okay.
So one more thing is before we go to the breakouts is you know, the little chevrons that can go on their uniforms. We have a company here in Michigan that does that. Actually, if you order through Advent Source, they actually hire them to do the chevrons. You can save yourself a little money if you go directly to Dave and Judy Nelson, and I'll put their thing up here. I need somebody else to put that up. Do you guys have Dave and Judy's email? Yeah, hold on, let me do that. Sorry guys, this is
actually, you know what, Pastor Craig, you go ahead and work on the breakout rooms. You can put that in the group chat after everyone's broken up.
Yeah, okay, that's good. All right, I gotta.
And just wanted to let whoever requested the fillable forms, I sent those to Craig, so he'll be able to put those up in his free time. Haha.
But that's an easy thing to do. So
in the middle of the night when he has nothing else.
You guys can keep talking about something else while I'm doing it, because I'm slow. You know, Tim, why don't you just, if you can do it, because you guys are used to it. Otherwise, that's going to take me forever. I'll give you host, and you just keep host. And otherwise, we're going to be here for a long time.
Tim, don't close me down when you're done with yours.
Oh, I'm not going to close anybody down. No, you. Okay. When you let me know, then I'll close you down.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, I could do it, but it'll be my first time ever doing that. So you guys are doing it better.
Well, this was a good idea that we just couldn't use this time, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We're learning.
That's right. Yeah. It's gone pretty smoothly. Wow. Otherwise,
I think it's gone really well. I just got to
become proficient on that. So.
All right. So it's gonna take me just a second. So you guys, I'm gonna mute myself, and you guys can stall.
Okay. So Bonnie has a question. Are notes from each class available? And
from
where?
Each class, no, they're not available from each class. You may need to make me
email us directly.
Yeah, but if you go to,
there were some materials on the website, right?
Yeah, that's on the website. A
lot of it is on the website.
The website has.
It's not under the adventure website. It's on the main MISTA or youth page. It's on the main page, not on the adventure page yet.
Right. We've got learning to lead, kids and families in nature. We have developmental growth from yesterday. The Stars, Chips, and Awards is on there. And then today we've got club programming and club organization. So if you go to misdayouth.org, you have there's a thing called documents and forms, and you can download it or you can view it and for your pleasure for that. So MSDayouth.org, again, MSDayouth.org is our website that we use for all of our reporting. You know, that's one more thing while Tim's doing this. If you can make me co-host, Tim, I can share this real quick. Not that you don't have anything else going on. Co-host,
You're on.
thank you. Thank you. I'll share the screen. And so here's MSDayouth.org. Here's, this is just a temporary thing on our website here for this weekend. There's the forms that we have on the website. There's the ones for today and for some of the ones that we've had this weekend. And, but I want to show you real quick the Club Ministries Adventures, or you could click there, either one. I want to show you, we have a monthly reporting system, and it's not, we don't require it in Adventures, but it's really good, really good to be able to see what you're doing. And it takes maybe about 2 or 3 minutes to fill it out. That is an Adventure monthly report form. What you've done, how many meetings that you've done, what awards you've taught, craft completed, if you did a child parent activity. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's called the monthly report. You're going to get an email from us on the 1st of the month that says, hey, your monthly report is due on the 5th. And so that is something, when you get that email, that's what that's talking about. Right there's the monthly reports that you can turn in. If you want more information on North American Division Adventures, there's a whole page here. It has the pledge and law, has the logo that you can download, has some safety resources that we had. You can get to Adventist screening verification there. Okay. And then we've got all of the Adventure Awards. It's a kind of a Wikipedia. So you can go to all the awards here. Let's see, Busy Bee. We want to look at Home Helper. And right there, it has all of the things that you are supposed to, the requirements, thank you. And then this is the teachers edition. This is what you can use to teach with. And you can send that link to your parents. If you're going to be in COVID, you can be doing COVID meetings. You can send that link to them, and then they can teach the award to their kids. And so again, that one is right in our helpful links. And you can look through all of those things.
They can get to the awards and curriculum right on our page too. They don't have to go into the NAD.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, right there it is. There's all the awards. Then there's the access to Advent Source. Ooh, one thing that's really important. Advent Source has all the materials for Adventures. That's where you order it. And there's a code. I don't see where I have chat any longer.
Down the very bottom of your screen should say chat.
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you can.
And then more. So in chat, this is the password when you go to Advent Source. They're going to be asking you for this code, and it's MI Clubs. And so I get probably 2 or 3 emails a day towards the end of the, towards the end of the year when investors are in there, because what's our code? What's our code? So it's MI Clubs. And then Paula just put out the Dave and Judy for the name crest. And you have their email address, Paula?
I think she's still working on it. There it is. They
There it
just
is,
came
right there,
up.
Pathfinder Club names, yeah. So we're thankful for that. So that's you can save yourself a couple of cents anyway, because Advent Source does tack a little bit on for shipping and that type of thing, so.
Hey, Judy, can you
All right.
also, Paula, can you finish that phone number? Thanks.
All right, I think that we are. How are you coming, Tim? You all right? Sorry for just got 2 more to do. Yeah. 2 minutes. 2
2
minutes. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
There was a note on our chat, which actually I'm going to do in my presentation today anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about it now. They're talking about the parent-child activity, and Kipsa says, we do fun role time in open exercise. She had already talked about that once, where they talk about what they've done with their families for parent-child activities. Kids share the fun things they've done with their families lately, and we write it on an ever-lengthening scroll. We displayed an investiture for the church to see the effort of our great families. And if you have a scribe right then writing it down, it's all ready to go for the monthly report. It makes it really easy.
Very good. Great idea. And then if you notice in chat, all of the district leaders have put their contact information in there. Check the website. I'll have that up here in the next day or so. It'll say district leader contact information or something like that. And that'll be in that helpful links. So, all right. But thank you guys, all of you, for what you're doing. And we'll look forward to seeing you and hearing from you through the monthly reports. We do read those monthly reports to know how things are going and if there's any concerns. And I can't say that I read it on a daily basis. I probably I pick one day and kind of read through them. And and I do have some volunteers that kind of go through those reports for me sometimes as well. So, but they are read, they are of value. Yeah, Delali?
Because it's ready to go.
Okay, very good. Oh, okay. I thought you had your hand up, Delali. Yeah.
No, I was saying it's time for you to give the announcement.
All right. For the last time, you kids, go to your rooms. We'll see ya. Hey, love all of you. You guys have a great time.
And everyone's taken off. So I'm going to see who's left here. Oh, somebody, Pastor Craig, I think you needed to send Tim to his room.
No, I'm going to just send myself there.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8. If you're up for it, share your faces so I can see you guys. I can start putting names with faces if I can. But what I really would love to start with is just if you could briefly unmute yourself and tell me if this is your first year or second year, what kind of are you and what position you hold in your club. So I'll start with Marisol. She's at the top of my screen.
Good morning, everyone. I am with the Ann Arbor Acorns.
Okay.
I was leader last year for the first time, but I have a great staff. I have Serena working with us, so she helped me a lot because there were many things I didn't know. And this training has been wonderful because I got to know a lot of things I didn't know the first year. So,
So this is your second year as director,
yes, this
but this is your first time coming to workshop.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
How about Andrea?
Hi, I am with the Holly Hedgehog Club, and this is my first year helping out officially. My daughter started with Adventures about 4 years ago, and I've been coming as a parent every year. But this year I took on the role of director. So my first year doing anything big and learning kind of how to run things. So
This is your
excited
first year
to be here.
workshop.
Yes.
Okay. All righty. Thank you. I'm so glad that you're with Holly. Shannon.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon, and this is my first year with the Harbor of Hope Adventures. And I guess at this point, I'm still figuring out what my role is going to be, but I'm one of the leaders.
Okay. And this is your first workshop?
No, it's well, yeah, really, technically it is.
Were you there last year?
Partially.
For part of it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I know you're not Samantha, but that's what your name says. Or are you? Oh, you're muted. Sorry, Samantha, you're muted. I don't know if I can.
Okay. Samantha, I guess I look different.
Okay. Yeah, you didn't. I think it's the background kind of threw me.
Well, I'm in my bedroom and I don't want people to see it. So
I totally get that.
I love the background's awesome. Yeah.
I know, outdoors.
So this is my first year. I should also preface, I didn't grow up in the church, so I've never been involved with Adventures at all. And I guess I would end the director. I don't really know because we haven't had a club in a long time. So
okay, so this is the first year for the club as well for a while.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
She's at Battle Creek. She's the Battle Creek tab one.
Oh wow. Yeah. Well, good. Yeah. All right. How about Sherry?
It's exciting.
Yeah. Sherry, are you there? You have to unmute yourself. I don't know if I can. Maybe she's not there. Okay, well then we'll go on to Zodwa. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay. What club are you with and how long have you been with them and how many workshops have you been to?
Hi. Wow. I am in East Lansing and Spanish. And I'm one of the teachers. Is that what you call us, teachers?
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yes. And I did attend one workshop.
Okay, so this is your second one.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So sorry.
You came up with Brenda.
Yes.
You came up with Brenda, right?
Yeah. Yes, I'm with Brenda. So sorry, I'm tired. We've been having VBS all week.
Oh. Yeah, bless your heart. Good for you. Are you having a face-to-face VBS?
No, it was a virtual.
Yeah, okay.
Virtual one. It turned out good. It became international because everybody could attend. Those who wanted.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to just see how fast I can fly through this because I really don't want to keep you guys long. I start every class I ever have with this slide because I really want to make sure that if by the end of this weekend you haven't caught this, then we've failed. So the mission of the Adventure Club Ministry is to serve an intercultural community of children from pre-K through 4th grade and their parents or guardians. That to me is a key phrase. And assist adventure families in growing as followers of Jesus. And I say this every time, if we don't have those two things where it's a family club and it's a spiritual club, then we might as well be brownies or Cub Scouts or anything else, because this is what really sets us apart. This is a family ministry, and we're trying to have people grow closer to Christ. I'm going to skip that. We're going to be going over these 3 main areas. Okay. Now, I don't like always sharing my screen because I can't see everybody. So, if you don't have anything else, this is what I'd start with. How many of you have this? This is the box that has everything. Okay, raise your hand. Okay, good. Marisol, do you have this?
We have the books. I think we have everything, just that it wasn't.
Okay, just you don't have the box. Okay, the box, you can buy all the things individually, but you save money if you buy it in the box. I don't know if you have any of it with you, but if you have, sorry here, do you have this with you right now? Because if you guys have, okay, all right. I'm going to be referring to this a lot. I have the page numbers, so if you have it handy, it would really help you to be able to follow along. If you don't, that's okay. The PowerPoint, I think I have the PowerPoint. Oh, it's in the notes. Okay, so the page numbers are in the notes. So if you download the notes or the PowerPoint from the website, you'll find out where everything is in here. So we're going to basically be going through this. This book really takes you step by step how to start a club. It actually is very self-explanatory and it's pretty easy, but a lot of times people will see a book and that's nice and throw it on the shelf. And we know the best way to get through the material is to actually do it live. That way you are introduced to it. So that's what we're going to be doing. So when you see page numbers on my PowerPoint, that's where I'm getting it from, is from this book. Oh, and every time I do that, it goes back here. Sorry.
And like Alcina said, that book's a gold mine.
Oh,
That's called it's the director's guide. And,
it's worth every penny.
Yeah, and the stuff that we're talking about, that's in that book.
Yep,
So,
everything,
yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. So Pastor Craig's already talked about how this is a church club and you really need to have your commitment from your board. So I'm not going to waste my time on that. Staff training and meetings, you're at our best training event, but like he said, we would be happy to help train individually if you need it. Just let us know. Where this is how we're organized as a church. We have our local church, which is your church, and a whole bunch of local churches together form a local conference, which for us is Michigan Conference. And our director is Pastor Craig Harris. Pastor Craig, tell me if I have some of these names wrong. This is from a few years ago. They may have changed. So a whole bunch of conferences together like Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, regional, I think are the 5 conferences that make up a union. And we're part of the Lake Union Conference. And is it still Ron Whitehead?
It is.
Okay.
Our local rep, the local adventurer, the union adventurer person is me, but I've kind of kicked it over to Leanna. So Ron's the head of it, but he says, Craig, because I'm a club ministries guy, I kind of am the pivot for adventurers, but I kicked that over to Leanna.
Does he mostly do Pathfinders then?
Yeah, I'm Pathfinders too. So Ron's really good at delegating stuff out. Yeah. So,
okay.
But Ron's,
right.
the buck stops with Ron. Yeah.
Okay. And then you have a whole bunch of unions together and they make the North American division. And is it still James Black?
No, it's Armando Miranda.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to change
Miranda,
that.
Yeah.
And then you have North America division and Indian African Ocean division, and you have a whole bunch of different divisions, and that makes up our general conference. And we have somebody appointed there. I'm not sure if it's Gilbert Kingi there either, but I'll have to get those updated. I'm not going to worry about that.
Right. And so one of the things that's important when we say NAD, a lot of times I'm real sensitive to what Samantha said, that she wasn't raised in the church. And so a lot of times we use buzzwords. Yeah. And so if you hear the word NAD, I probably have said it all this week.
That's right.
It stands for the North American Division. And so you can see where I'm at the local conference and the union. And so the North American division is what put this together for us.
Yes.
And we basically run a North American. So anyway, sorry, Yeltsina, go
Okay.
ahead.
I'm just flying through this because I know I'm watching the clock. Okay, so if you're starting a club, PR is going to be a whole. Actually, I think I'll probably talk a little bit more about that later. But where do you get kids from for a club? If if you're going to start a club, where are your kids coming from? Give me some ideas, guys. Turn off your unmute yourselves because I want to have some participation. So where do you get kids? Or families, I should say, families. Where do you get families?
Church attending families. Actually, ours come from like 3 different churches. So we get together to form a club, but they come from different churches in the area.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, your local school. If you have a church school, even if you don't have a church school in the area, if you find a local religious school, religious daycare, you can advertise there. VBS, a lot of times our town has a child protection agency, and they do fairs and things like that, and we can go there. So there's a lot of different places where you can let the word get out about what you're doing. This is probably one of the biggest ones, and this is on page 13 and 14 if you're in your book. Funding the club. This is actually where I get probably my second most number of questions. For those of you who are just starting, I'm assuming that you already have church board approval. Is your church giving you a budget? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Okay, good. All right. All right, good. All right.
I'm gonna go like this because I am unsure. I was, like I said, I was told, and so I have to meet with my pastor and my treasurer, and because my pastor asked me to do this, so I told him I'd go through the training and figure out what's needed, and then, so yeah, that's where I'm at.
So there's a lot of places you can get funding. Of course, the church board can have a line item for adventures. I think that they really should, but not all churches financially feel like they can handle it. So the other place that you can get funding is donations, and you can do fundraising events, which I hate, but it does work. And then of course our families, and sometimes our families can afford it and sometimes they can't. So I found for myself when I was running a club, I did have a registration fee, but I tried to spread it out. So I gave them the registration fee, but that wasn't really what I needed. I needed more than that. So we had, and some clubs do this and sometimes don't, we had a nightly due. And it was just $1 per child per night. And it was, of course, that was a few years ago. I might make it different now, but most families can come up with $1. I mean, they'll buy a pop or, go to McDonald's or something. So if you can make it a small amount on a regular basis, it usually is a little bit more affordable in their mind than if you add it up, $28 more, you had a $25 registration fee and you get $25 from dues. If you put that all at the beginning, you're asking for $50. And sometimes it's like, whoa, can't do that. But I can do $25 and then, a payment plan, so to say. So there's different ways of you working on your funding. But if you're just starting out, your church is probably going to start out with a small amount. But as they see you actively using the money they've given you, and by the way, first and foremost, you as a club director are a board member. Okay? So please attend your board meetings, because if you do that and you're there consistently and you're reporting on what the club is doing, then when you come and ask for more funding, they'll realize that this is an active ministry. It's not just dead, and they'll be a lot more willing to come up with more money. Okay, so any more questions on funding? All right. Good. That means you guys all got all the money you need, right? Haha. Oh, shoot. It went back to the start for me. Oh, no, it didn't. Okay. What are some of the things that you need money for in your clubs? I'm just doing this to make you guys really thinking about where the money's going to go. All right. So you need money for this. You need money for if you're going to do your flags, your pledge and your law, your uniforms, all of the awards and patches and stars and chips, all of those cost money, and you have to decide, are you paying for that or is the families? Your craft supplies, crayons and paper and copying and all of these are all things that are going to be costing money. You're going to need a banner, especially if you do Adventure Fun Day. A lot of times we have little parades. You like to have a banner for your club. So there's a lot of places that money can go out. I would have to say, start small. You know, if the only thing you can do in 1 year is something just for the first year, just do the box. And then maybe the next year you can get your flags. And the next year you can get your banners that have the pledge and the law. And just each year add to your stockpile. Don't try to do it all in 1 year. I think it'll be a little bit overwhelming. And I'll talk more about some of those supplies later on. But it would really help if you had a budget, what yours outgo and what's income, and see how you're doing balancing. And if you don't have enough, then that's when you go back to the church board and you say, I really need some extra help. I might as well just do it now. Just an idea. Hold on a second here. Sometimes you can get donations from people in the church, but I find you get a lot better participation if you ask for something instead of asking for money. So if you say, our club needs an adventure flag. Is there anybody in the church who would like to buy the flag for us or buy the banners for us? Or if they know that their money is going for some particular thing, I find that people are a lot more willing to give. And so if you, at the beginning, and we do this for VBS all the time, at least in our churches, I'm guessing probably you do too. For snacks, you put out a list to the church and say, these are the snacks we need, and we need grapes, and then people in the church sign up for what they're willing to bring. So the church is actually really used to that. So if you do that for adventures, you do the same thing. We need flags, we need banners, we need uniforms, and ask the church members if they'd be willing to purchase those items for you or give you the money to purchase the item. So it's just an easier way to come up with funding sometimes. Marketing your club, kind of went over this a little bit, but these are all different ideas that I've gotten from previous times doing this. I always keep coming up with more and more ideas from listening to everybody else's what they do. One church has a ministry highlight time for the church. Like there's a personal ministries time sometimes between Sabbath school and church, and they use that time to highlight adventures. Having an adventure newsletter is really amazing, but I don't have the time for that. But sometimes, and I'll talk, well, I might as well, people will volunteer to do individual items where they won't volunteer to help you in the club. So if you have somebody in the church who says, you know, I really don't want to come twice a month to a club meeting, but I'd be willing to run your newsletter for you, I'd take them up on that in a heartbeat. Send out personal invitations. You can publicize in your local paper or radio station, VBS or evangelistic series. Make sure, I already told you this, make sure you keep your church board informed. You can write, oh my goodness, sorry about that, that's a typo. You can write letters to the church constituency asking for donations, put in church bulletin announcements, use a church bulletin board. Those are all different ways of coming up with funding and letting people know what's going on. All right, operating policies. I already told you, you are a church board member. By the way, my husband is a pastor, but he hasn't paid me to say this. but he appreciates so much every church board member who actually shows up to board meeting. And let's see, is Terry coming back here? I just admitted Terry.
Good. I don't know where he's going. Thank you.
Okay, I can't move him to another place, so
You can stay with us unless something changes.
okay. So I don't know if you see that. Please move this window away. I don't know how to get rid of that. So, oh well.
Try to maybe unshare your screen and then go back in. Maybe that'll.
Oh, nope, it's fading. It's fading. I'll let it go.
Okay.
Pastors love it when board members actually show up to board meeting. So often they're struggling to get quorum just to run the church. So if you actually show up to board meeting, your pastor will be so appreciative. We've already talked extensively about this, but this is not a kids meeting. This is a family meeting. So we need to make sure that our parents are involved. Pastor Craig already spent quite a bit of time talking about the parent pin, so I'm not going to rehash that, but on page 30, it talks a lot about parents. And I'm going to just say again what I've said before. If this is a family ministry, then we should be speaking to families. And I'm speaking to myself on this one, because when I run clubs, a lot of times I love kids. I'm a little bit nervous with adults. So when I have a club, it's so easy for me to focus on the kids and to teach the kids and to give the kids things to do. And then the parent really has no place. So I really push myself to speak to the parents and say, because you know what, the kids will love and bond with whoever's doing these things with them. So if I'm doing it, the kids are going to love me, and hey, that makes me feel really good, but that's not my goal. My goal is to strengthen the parent-child relationship. So if I can give the activity to the parent and say, please do this with your child, then the kids are doing something fun with their parent, and it's increasing their bond. So that's really where we need to make sure that we keep our focus on that. I'm talking to myself. When we have induction, now this has always been confusing to new people. There is induction and investiture, and they both start with I. So it gets really hard to remember which is which. Induction is what happens at the beginning of the year. You're inducting people into the club. So when you do that, there's a part of this the program, and if you didn't go to Dawn's class this year, you will next year. She really goes into it much more in depth than I have time for. But you are inducting both the child and the parent into this club, and they have little membership cards that you can get at Advent Source that the kids absolutely love. And it's so funny because for us, it's not such a big deal. But the kids just get so excited about these little cards. And if you really are into it, you can actually laminate them. And my kids, I'm telling you, it was gold to them. And they got themselves little wallets, and they put their little card in their wallet, and they would carry around their membership card. And they're cheap. They're so cheap. It's a very worthwhile investment because of how much it means to the kids. They just love those membership cards.
Yeah. It's their first business card, right?
It is their first business card, and they are so proud of them. It's just so cute to watch. Okay, the other class that's going on right now is going over programming and planning. So I am not going to spend a lot of time on this, but in page 38 to 42 of this book, it goes over options. And I'm telling you guys, don't waste time reinventing the wheel. I remember when I was doing adventures, when I started off years ago, we did not have these great books. And so you really had to sit down and figure out, what am I going to do for each meeting? And it was so hard to try and coordinate everybody. And in these books, they've done that all for you. I actually want to show you one of the pages. Here we go. So this is actually in the director's manual. I don't know if you can see that. So they have the meeting number. This is meeting number 1. And then they have what each of the classes is doing. And then in each of the different books. So you have one for Busy Bee, you have one for Sunbeam. So each of these books takes that one little section that's theirs and it expands it for that particular level. So it's nice because this one just kind of gives you an overview for the whole thing. Now, it does not have to be done in this particular order. Day 1, day 2, day 3. You don't have to do it. You can mix and match. So I look at it and let's see here. I know there's one. Okay. So here they say meeting 3, and I know you can't see that. This is on page 48 if you have your book. So meeting 3 is going to be working on the world of nature, the world of friend of nature. So all of these are pretty much nature ones. That is a day I would do early on in the year because it's going to be a lot of outdoor stuff. But if you come to that night and it's pouring rain and you can't do anything, or if you look at the forecast and know it, then you can switch this night and this night, and you just switch them. So they don't have to be done in this order, but it really just does help to organize the whole adventure year for you. So if you're a director, I want you to look at those pages, page 38 to 42, and just familiarize yourself with that.
Alcina, this is Shannon. I was just going to say, I super appreciate page 40 with the 9-month calendar. That takes a lot of thought, well, a lot of work away.
Yes, it does. Absolutely. That's why I'm saying this book is a gold mine. There's no sense in reinventing the wheel. And this saves so much of your time as a director if you can just go through there and it's not meant, and actually I usually start this class with saying these policies are an aid to us. We are not a slave to them, okay? So I don't want you to feel like you have to do it exactly like the book. The book is supposed to be there as a tool for you to use, and you change it around for what works for your club. The other thing I want to talk about for time is a lot of people ask me, well, when do you do your meetings? So those of you who are on here, can you just tell me quickly when your meetings are?
We meet on Sunday from 10 to 12.
Okay, Sunday at 12?
Twice a month.
Okay, twice a month. Who else?
Ours is every first and third Sabbath of the month.
Okay, first and third Sabbath?
At 2:30.
Okay, Andrea?
We do Tuesday night once a month from 6:30 to 8, and we do one Sabbath afternoon about 3:30 to 5.
Okay. Samantha, you probably don't know yet. Delia? Huh?
Go same church with Zoe. It's Sabbath twice a month.
Okay. All right. The reason I'm asking you guys all that is because I want you to see how many varieties there are. Not one day works for every church. Every church does it differently. You have to find out what works best for your families. And even more importantly, you have to find out what works for you. If the church has asked you to be director, I don't want you guys to be pushed into something that doesn't work for you. And a lot of times I know I've had directors call and say, you know, they really want me to do on this day, but it doesn't work for me. And what am I supposed to do? And it's like, you know what? If they want to take over the director, they can do it when they want. But if you're director, you have to do what works for you. So I want you to be sensitive to your families, but I don't want you to kill yourselves over it either. Now,
that is such good wisdom, Alcina, because a lot of people will cave to what the church board wants with it, but most church boards are going to let you choose what day is going to work for your family. So that's such good wisdom. Thanks so much for saying that.
So the other thing to just keep in mind, I love our awards and chips and stars because they all have a spiritual component to them. So every single thing that we work on has a spiritual component. So doing things on Sabbath is not an issue. Now, I have to say, I'm not comfortable doing everything on Sabbath. So if you can have a day once in a while that's not on Sabbath, that you can do things that you probably wouldn't feel as comfortable with on Sabbath, that'd be great too. I know churches who do most of it Sabbath, but once in a while they have a Sunday meeting. And Sabbaths are nice because people are already together, and a lot of times parents don't know what to do with their kids on Sabbath afternoon. This is a perfect way to show them things that you can do. So there's a lot of different options. And I was listening to most of your times, and you all run about an hour and a half from what I was hearing your times are. And I think that's so ideal. Pathfinders usually goes for 2 or more hours. And a lot of times people that come with a Pathfinder mindset to adventures are thinking of a 2-hour meeting. But honestly, it's really hard to keep these young children engaged for that long. So an hour and a half, I find, is pretty ideal. You can get done what you need in an hour and a half if you're careful. And Pastor Craig was telling how he runs his meetings. When you go to Dawn's class on planning, she goes through how she runs her meetings. If you talk to Tim and Sherry, you'd hear how they run through their meetings. Every single one of us have a different schedule. And I encourage you to find what works for you. I'm going to tell you what mine is, but this doesn't mean this has to work for you. So basically, in a nutshell, I have 15 minutes opening, 15 minutes closing, about a half hour for working on their classwork, although I don't like to call it that, and then another half hour. And once a month, I usually did a craft or something, worked on an honor, and once a month, we usually had games and playtime that went with an award, not honor, award. So my first 15 minutes would be a short worship. We would sing. We would do our pledge and law. I would also, one of the things that I did in my club was every time they came, they got 5 points. 1 if they brought their Bible, 1 if they brought their dues, 1 if they were wearing their uniform, 1 if they were on time, and 1 if they behaved. So every night they got 5 points. And at the end of the year, if they had 80% of their points, we did what we called a bonus day, and I would take them on something fun. And it was just a way to encourage the kids. My point was I was wanting to teach them accountability. I wanted the kids to give the dues. So I know that they would go to their parents and ask for the money, but I really wanted them to take responsibility for it. So, and bonus day was really simple, but if you build it up and you say, there's something that I'm going to be doing for those who have 80% of their work done or 80% of their points, but I'm not telling you what it is. It's going to be a surprise, and you just talk it up all year, and you just get, and it can be something as simple as just going to the beach, but the fact that you've built it up makes it to them just so exciting. So, so anyway, that was my first 15 minutes of the class, and usually it was a little shorter, but I just kind of planned 15 minutes, and then a half hour where they go do their different level work, and then another half hour for playing around, and then the last 15 minutes for me was most special of my time. I would always read them probably 5 or 10 minutes out of one of their books, because I find that it's really hard, unfortunately, because it shouldn't be this way, but parents don't read to their kids anymore. And I was always having a hard time getting through all the books that they needed to read for their investiture. So I just started taking it upon myself to read 5 or 10 minutes to the kids every night, or having one of the parents read. Sometimes we did a continued story, and we'd do it over a month or 2. Sometimes I read a book that I could just read the whole book in one night. And so we would do that as well. And then the most important thing is every meeting when I finished, I would ask, how many of you guys had your personal time with Jesus consistently this week? I didn't say every day, I said consistently. And this is something that we worked at the very beginning of the year. I would tell them that this is something I was going to be asking them. And so they would get to raise their hand. They were having time with Jesus. And I would pick 1 or 2 of them and say, what did you do? And so the child would have a chance. Oh, I sang a song to Jesus, or I looked at a Bible picture book or whatever. And just in sharing, it reinforced their own behavior, but also when they shared, they gave their friends ideas of what they could do. And then that was the one question. And the second question I asked them was, what fun thing did you do with your moms or dads this week, or your families? And this is for parent-child time. And I'd have somebody sitting there writing this down for me. And the kids would have a chance to share what they've done with mom or dad. Parent-child activity, I think, is so critical. And I would tell the parents, this is what I would do at our first parent meeting. I would tell them, this is coming. I'm going to be asking the kids every night we have meeting what they did with you. So just plan it. So the parents have a little bit of accountability. But when the kids would get excited about what they'd done with their parents, this was perfect affirmation for the parents, because the parents are seeing how excited their children are about the time that they spend with them. And I told the parent, I said, parent-child can be 1 week, it can be a parent chooses what they're going to do. And the next week, the child can choose. So it's not always about the kids. The goal is the time spent together. So I said, parents, maybe your parent-child activity this week is taking them shopping. But what makes it different is that you're intentional about, on this shopping trip, this is about my time with my child, not just getting the job done. And I'm just not running into the store and boom, 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 and telling the kid to be quiet. This is my time to interact with the child while I'm shopping. So just about any activity can be parent-child. The key is that it's intentional bonding time between the parent and the child. So that basically is how I run my club. Sorry, let me run back here real quick to sharing screen. But I want you guys to find what works for you and enjoy it. All right, so part of running a club is making sure we have registration form. Pastor Craig talked about that. It's page 108, but we also have it on our website you can look at. The same with the medical form. You need both of those filled out. You have got to have those filled out. Don't run a club without it. Safety is
the form that's on the website is the one we'd prefer to have you use, okay, because that has the staff information.
Yes, and actually, the one on page 109 says sample right across it, so it's not the one that we prefer. Pastor Craig Friday night spent all his time talking about safety, so I'm not going to spend much time on that. It's just, if you look, those are the pages where it's covered in the book. Okay. Oh man, that clock is not a friend. So we're going to talk about startup and structuring. Again, in the book, this is all on page 43 to 44 and 80 to 92. And actually yesterday, under special programs, Dawn Kroll went over a lot of these, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. If you haven't gotten her class next year, make sure you get it, because she goes into it a lot more detail. I'm just going to remind you that induction is at the beginning of the year when you're bringing families in. Investiture is at the end of the year when they're receiving all of their awards and the acknowledgement of what the year has been. Family blessing is when we allow our families a chance to just tell the kids how much we love them. Fun day is when we go, if we can, to GLAW, and we have a whole day of just fun and games. Adventure Sabbath, I want to just talk on this just a little bit because Dawn goes over it a lot, but one thing that I want to say is, if at all possible, make sure that your Adventure Sabbath is not Adventure Pathfinder Sabbath. Try to get your own Sabbath, because when adventures and Pathfinders share the Sabbath, the big kids get to do all the important work and the adventurers are left with nothing or very little. And I want our little kids to realize that they are valuable and they are totally capable of doing more than what adults usually give them credit for. We talked about how the adventurers and their families were actually able to do the sermon, and that is totally, they're totally capable of that, and they love it. They feel so good about it. So make sure that you give them, and talk to your pastor. I don't know of any pastor who doesn't like this. If there is, tell Pastor Craig, he'll give them a what to for. But pastors really appreciate people who want to be involved. And if we can get our, say, Pastor, let me know what works in your schedule, but give us a whole Sabbath to run as a club. and they can do the offering, they can do the children's story, your older ones can do that, special music, prayer, reading the scripture and the sermon. Just let them do the whole thing.
Alcina, I was at one that instead of having the kids come up, the entire family went up.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
the family would go up and do the prayer, family would go up and do the call, and they would all part of it. And that was so powerful.
Yes, absolutely. Just don't have, I do want the whole family there, but I don't want the adults doing all the work. So when the family goes up there, make sure that the kids are
very intentional, right?
Yes, very intentional about that.
Alcina?
Hey, Alcina, don't.
Yes, Marisol. Marisol.
I think
yes?
Go ahead, Marisol.
About Adventure Sabbath, there isn't like a particular month of the year you can program that anytime.
Anytime during the year that it works out for you and your pastor.
Okay.
Craig?
Yeah, the induction. Tell us real quickly how important that induction is.
It's really important. That's especially because that's where you're really laying out the parameters for the club. The parent and the child is having an opportunity to say that they're wanting to, well, you know what, let me get that really quick, because there's
it
a
sets
part
the
where
tone
the parent
for the year. Yeah,
it does, and they agree to come and support and live by what your club is trying to accomplish. So, and that's when they get their little cards, and that's what makes them feel like they're a part of a unit, a part of a larger family. We're a club, and
yeah.
I don't want you to be intimidated by the schedule of how it's supposed to run, and you have to do this, and then it's not like that. It's very relaxed, and if you don't do it in the same order, and if you don't have candles, and if you don't, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're saying that you're being inducted.
Yeah.
I'll get into that just a little bit more when I go through supplies, but the other thing about Adventure Sabbath is I know a lot of clubs have an Adventure Sabbath. That's great. But then they also bring the kids in their uniforms on other Sabbaths. When I was at Cedar Lake, they had a different, of course, it was a large club, but they had a different family unit assigned to every Sabbath. So every Sabbath, there was somebody there in an adventure uniform greeting or doing something for the church. And they would rotate it around, so not everybody was there every Sabbath. But I just thought that was great, because every week an adventure uniform was there greeting people and just like making people aware that the club was active. And I thought that was neat. So our little kids, Pathfinders not so much, but adventures love to wear their uniforms. They just love their uniforms. And if the families are going to spend all this money buying the uniforms, I say let them wear them before they grow out of them. So the more opportunities that you can have with the kids in their uniforms, the better. And I already told you what the bonus day was for me, how I do that for the kids. That's not part of the curriculum. Okay, so now I'm going to go through some supplies. So the uniform, I usually get a lot of questions about the uniform. Here in Michigan, let me start with the kids' uniform. So this is the girls' uniform. It's a blue shirt, usually has the Peter Pan kind of collar, and a blue jumper. And a couple things, oh shoot, here we go. And then you have the sash and the scarf. I forgot to put those on my little people. See, if I'm up at camp, I've got the little doll to put them on. So you have a scarf for each adventure and a slide, and then their sash. Now, a couple things I want to say is the adult uniforms have pockets, and I always keep an extra 1 or 2 of these in my pocket, because invariably a kid comes and they've forgotten 1 or 2, and these especially have a tendency to get lost easily. And so just
Hey,
keep it
Alcina, can I have,
in my pocket.
can
Huh?
we have you not share the screen? We can see you bigger. If you,
Oh,
if you
yes.
unshare your, that way we can see you better.
Okay, there you go. Yep.
There,
So you
perfect,
just
thank you.
keep an extra one of these in your pocket, and then when the kids say, I forgot my slide, you got it with you. Another thing that really helps, and especially with these sashes, these kids work very hard for these awards, and they want to keep their sash with their awards. But once they get off the kid, how do you know which sash goes to which kid? And that happens all the time. The sashes fall off or the kids take them off and then you don't know. So what I do is I get one of those Sharpie pins that's in silver and I write the name inside the sash. This is my son's, Daniel Benson. So this sash is probably 15 years old and I still have his name in there. So if you'll put the names, now the scarf isn't so important. If kids get the scarf mixed up, it's no big deal, but they don't like mixing up their sashes. So write their name in it. The other thing is the sashes, you cannot fit, if you have a child start with Little Lambs, there is no way everything between Little Lambs and Helping Hand is going to fit on one sash. It just doesn't happen. Those stars are big and the chips and then the awards, it doesn't work. So if you have something starting at the very beginning, you're probably going to need 2 sashes. If someone doesn't start until, you know, the beginning of adventures like Busy Bee, you might be able to fit it all in one sash. So what I did is I got a larger size than what my kids were, and I would do it like this, and then I sewed it so it was a smaller sash. Whoops, there we go, smaller sash. And then as they grew, I was able to take that seam out and make it a bigger sash and put more stuff on there. So for families that aren't wanting to have to buy 2 sashes, that's one way of doing it. But if they start young, you're going to have 2 sashes in order for everything to fit. When the parents are sewing these on, there is thread that's clear, and that it makes it so much easier than trying to change your bobbin and your thread, all your different colors. Get clear thread, and then you can just sew them all on. It's, I don't remember what it's called, but speaking of which, again, going back to volunteers, and I know they talked about that yesterday, but one of the volunteers that you can ask for in your club is a seamstress, and just somebody who's not interested in adventures but loves to sew, and just say, you know, if you could just come and sew for me, you might find one of your older ladies in the church who'd be willing to do that for you. And I think that's really kind of important because in the handbook, it tells you where all the stuff is supposed to be sewn on and what, you know, which shirt it's supposed to be on, which sleeve, which side, how far down, all of that. I'm not really so worried about that, except that the kids don't want to be different from each other. So if you can have the same person sew them all on, if there's something that's off, it's off the same on all of them. So it doesn't matter. I know, for instance, Pastor Craig, dear Pastor Craig, his patch is on upside down. Have you ever gotten that fixed?
In my adventure uniform, yeah, I think it's still upside down.
Upside down. So we all
and
laugh
I didn't
at
put
him
it on.
for
My seamstress put it upside down, and so. But, no,
And
it's not
you know
my
what?
wife. It's
He's a big boy. He can handle it. But I'm telling you, if you have all the kids who have it right and one that's wrong, that really is going to affect them a lot more. So I really like to have all the kids in uniform that's the same. Not necessarily that it's all correct, but it's all the same so that they're not getting picked on or pointed out for being different from everybody else. The other thing about that is we talked a little bit about investiture and getting their awards at investiture. I hate making the kids wait until the very end to get all of these, you know, especially if it's their first year. They don't want an empty sash the whole year. So I really liked the idea of having a ribbon and just cutting out of a piece of paper all the awards they got and just pinning it on the ribbon just to show what they did for the year, but giving them the award as they earn it. So most of the awards you can do in one night. They're actually pretty simple because we have simple kids. So when I know I'm going to be doing an award in one night for the whole club, I asked my seamstress to come that one night. And I told the kids ahead of time, we're going to be making an award that night. And please bring your sash with you to club meeting. So the kids all came with their sashes. I had my seamstress there. I had all my patches there. She sat there during the meeting, sewed all the patches on. By the time the meeting was over, all the kids had their patch on their sash. So
that's very cool.
You can't do that all the time, but once in a while, really early on, so they have something on there, it makes them feel really good. It is kind of scary when you send those patches home with parents. They don't always get on the sash because parents don't know how to sew, and I'll do it later, and then they get lost, and it's just discouraging to these kids to do the work and then not have the. So these are incredible. You get this from Advent Source, and it's called Badge Magic. Badge Magic, and you can find them at Advent Source. These actually are the ones for the patches that go on the sleeves and the crest, but they have.
It's an iron-on, right?
What's that?
It's an iron-on, right?
Kind of.
Or is it just a stick-on?
It's just mostly a stick-on. There is instructions about how you're supposed to do it, pushing really hard, and then it's supposed to go through like a hot cycle on the dryer or something like that. But it is pretty effective because you're not putting these through the laundry all the time. It works really well on this. On the uniforms, you can see it's starting, let me see, it's starting to pull up a little bit.
Separate, yeah.
So, your uniforms are going through the laundry a lot. So if you can get the uniforms actually sewn on, I think that it works better. But for the sashes and for all of these little things, it's really easy. So if you just bought some for the club and cut out a few and give it to the parents and say, you know what, just stick this on, stick it home as soon as you get home so it doesn't get lost.
Yeah. And you can't send that Badge Magic, you can't put it through the dry cleaner.
No.
You take your uniform to the dry cleaner because they'll come right off.
Yeah, but whoever sends any kids stuff to the dry cleaner, I don't.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
No,
I'm just talking adult for adults.
The adult ones, yes, you're right.
Right.
Let me see here. Okay. Okay, how come this is not going here from? There we go. And then again, there's the page numbers where you have a lot of the things about where it's supposed to be sewn on. So I am actually in the adult. So our Michigan conference has gone with the white. And for the girls, if they want, they can have the tie. That's optional. And then there is a blue skirt. For the guys, it's a blue pair of pants. So there's sometimes, your staff should have a full dress uniform. I wouldn't make all of your parents do it unless they want to. If they want to, they're more than welcome to. But just if they're not actively involved in the club, except as a parent, I don't make a big deal about that. All right, here's some other supplies that you're going to be needing. We already talked about the adventure manual. This is yes.
May I ask a question? It's like, as a new director, I don't know about the patches that we can wear on our sash. It's like, what kind, can we wear the awards that the kids get? Or
yes, absolutely. If you're helping the kid get the award, you get it too. So the parents get, and I always check. Some of my parents wanted all the awards that they worked with, their didn't. The ones who wanted it had a sash, they put it on. Some parents didn't care, they didn't want it. They just wanted one for the kid. So I just check with my parents and see whether they want it or not. But yes, if the parent helps the kid through it, they get it too.
Okay.
All right, so we talked about the manual. Advent Source has, and normally when we have a meeting all together, we have the catalogs for Advent Source. I really wish I could give you guys a catalog, but I can't. All I can do is send you to the website, adventsource.com. But this is where you're going to get all of these supplies here. The flags, do not even bother if you're starting a new club getting the big flag. It is a waste of money. The kids can't carry it. It's too heavy. It's very decorative, but don't bother with that. Get the small flag. I think it's 2 feet by 3 feet. Yeah, it's 2 by 3. And then it's really easy to pick up an American flag, especially like around Labor Day or Memorial Day. You go to just about any store, you can pick up an American flag, 2 feet by 3 feet. And actually what I did is I picked up 2 of them, and then I used the pole from one of them for the adventure flag, and then I had my American flag with the other pole. And that way it was a matching set. And it was $5. So that's the easiest way to get your flags and get them inexpensively. There's also banners that have the Pledge and Law on them. They're a little bit more expensive. You can do without those for the first year. That can be something that you can work towards. Workbooks, we talked about that. It might make it easy with this social distancing and doing a lot at home, but I really personally don't like the workbooks as much, just because the kids have it gives them the sense that they're back in school again. And a lot of times the kids don't like that. It's too much like schoolwork. You can do the exact same thing, but not having it in a book makes it feel different for the kids. But it does make it much easier to figure out who has done what and who's missing what. So that's the nice part about the workbooks. You just have to decide for yourself if it's worth it for you or not. We talked about candles for the induction. I really don't think we really prefer not the lighted ones, but you can get the ones that are battery run. They do have them at Advent Source. But if you can make up your own, kind of like Dawn did, she took really cheap candles that she could get and she just painted them or colored them the color of the different levels. And it was a little less expensive. Yes.
Just this last year, I think they're going to be putting a new director's manual out. There's very small changes in it. But one of those is we're not going to be using candles in adventures.
I like that.
It's going to be all electronic. Yeah, it's going to be, and so don't even worry about the candles. It's just a lot safer than kids.
Are they using the electric candles anymore?
Yeah, they're using the battery. They use the battery.
So what I'm saying is,
yeah,
you can get those Advent Source, but if you can get them cheaper somewhere else and just color them yourself, it might be cheaper.
Yes,
I'm just trying to find inexpensive ways of doing this.
Absolutely. Hobby Lobby has some colored ones too. That's cheap. Yeah. So, but forget the candles. That'll be out of this manual in the future.
Thank goodness. Membership cards, those are really cheap and well worth it. And then we talked about uniforms. The one thing I do want to say about uniforms, I talked about what they need to look like. And of course, we also have a field uniform, which is just a t-shirt. And if you can just find a t-shirt that you can get for all your kids, you can put something on it if you want, or you don't have to. Advent Source does have t-shirts, or you can look at putting your own logo on a t-shirt from a local company if you want in your own towns. That works too. But you as a club are going to have to decide how you want to run your uniforms. Some clubs leave it up to every family to get their own uniform, and every family can go to Advent Source and do their own buying. Some clubs buy club uniforms, and then every year they rent the uniforms to the different people. That actually works really well, but it is a big logistical nightmare. You really need somebody who's just in charge of that, because trying to figure out who needs what size and did they get them back in time, and it's hard, but it really is a very effective way, because these uniforms really only work for 1 year. These kids are growing so fast. So every year they're needing a new size. So, and another club I know of, every family was in charge of their own uniforms, but once a year they had a uniform swap. And so you could come and you could swap uniforms with other people. So that's really something that you have to figure out for your own club, what is going to work best. And if you're really trying to save money, I'm telling you, if you go right around this time of year to JCPenney or any of those, this is a very typical uniform for schools. So you can get them on sale at a lot of places. The other thing is that if you go to Goodwill or any of your resale shops near the end of the year, you can get used uniforms really cheap for people who are done for the school year. Those blue collars, regular collars for the boys, Peter Pan collars for the girl in that blue are very typical. And I see those all the time at secondhand stores. So those are cheaper ways of going about it. For the guys, it's just a blue pair of pants. For the girls, it's that blue jumper. Although I will have to say, and I know this isn't technical, but the first club I ever worked with was with a school, and the school had choir uniform, and their choir uniform was a blue skirt. So we just said, you can use your choir uniform for your adventure uniform. We didn't use the jumper, just because they were, all the kids except for one were in the school, and it saved them from having to buy another. So as long as you're all the same, it really, there's a little bit of leeway there. So do what works for your families and what is least expensive for you. And let me see. Adventsource.org, that's where you're going to get anything. Okay, so any questions? I'm already about 15 minutes over, but I have all the time in the world to answer any question that you have. And the other thing that I didn't say at the beginning of this that I usually say, especially for this class, and especially for those of you who this is your first year, please don't be too overwhelmed. This is so much information. It's kind of like drinking out of a fire hydrant. I don't want you to be stressed about it. I remember the first time I went to Leader Shop, I went home and I cried. I was like, oh, I can't ever do this. So I don't want you guys going home and crying. It's not anything. If you do one thing for your families this year and everything else is a flop, you know, that's one more thing than they would have had if you hadn't had your club. And I want you to focus on that and just realize that every little bit you're doing is more than they would have if you didn't do it. Don't focus on the things that you're not getting done. Focus on the things that you're doing and just do the best you can on that. So don't get overwhelmed.
And that director's manual, it's when you look at it, it's just laid out so nice. Those pages you said there, that it's already laid out your entire year for you.
Yep.
Like Shannon said, it's got a sample of how you can plan your whole year out, a 9-month calendar. And so that alone can really save so much.
Oh,
and we've talked about every aspect of adventures, and it seems overwhelming, but that when you get that director's manual and you just look at it, you go, oh, I can do that.
Yeah. Yep, you sure can. Absolutely. And you know what? If God has called you to this, he will enable you. He will equip you. And if there's a place where you're not feeling comfortable, just pray to the Lord to bring somebody beside you who can help you in that area. You know, I'm not good at crafts. I don't enjoy them, and I'm not creative, and I can't think of what to do. And so that's the first person I look for is somebody who can help me with crafts. And you know, they had a whole thing on volunteering, but just like you put out a sheet on different things that you need, you can put out a sheet asking for help for adventures. Say, I don't need you every meeting, but I just need somebody who'd be willing to come and teach me about bicycles, because there's an award on bicycles. And usually there's some guy in the church who'd say, I can give one night out of the year and come help you with bicycles. He can come in and he can teach the award. Or a carpenter who can come do the carpentry award, or somebody who loves birds who can come help. You know, I think people are a little bit intimidated because they think it's a whole year commitment. But if you say, I don't need a whole year, I just need one night, I think you'd have a lot more volunteers. All right, any more questions? So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have prayer for you guys. Are the other classes all done, Pastor Craig? You're muted.
I had to give up the host. I don't know if they're still going or not.
Okay.
So looks like
All right.
one of them just got done because Nareda just came in. So
Yeah, she's joining us. So I'm going to pray for you guys. Dear Father, thank you so much for each one of these people who are here, who are willing to give up their time and effort to make this adventure club succeed in their local areas. I pray for each director who's trying to wrap their mind around how they're going to make all of this work. I pray for each family that's represented here. We live in a broken world, dear Lord, and so many of our families are really hurting. And Lord, this program is just prime to help in so many different aspects. Lord, we want to lift up families. We want to create a real good bond between parents and their children. And Lord, please help us to keep that as our goal, not to be so caught up in all the details that we miss the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is reaching these families for you. And I just, Lord, want each one of these directors, each one of these staff to feel encouraged. I want you to come up beside them and lift them up and help them to focus on all the positives that's happening, and don't let the devil just discourage them with all the negatives. Just let those go and do the best that we can. So I pray for each one here. Thank you so much for their willingness to give of their time for you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
hey, Alcina,
Yes.
Thank you so much. That was a really good, such a good seminar. Thank you so much for that. One of the other things is, we were just talking about how important that director's manual is. And when they're trying to find people to teach the classes, those books, if you could show those books again, those books are dynamite. And so the teachers, it lays out everything that the teachers need to bring, all the supplies, how long they should spend on this particular part. It's just really easy for you to recruit a teacher, because you can give them, you could either give them the book, or you could photograph it or photocopy it.
Yeah.
And it's really easy. It makes it easy for you to recruit people to teach, because the teacher's manuals are so well laid out.
And the other way that makes it really easy to recruit is to bring them to, now I know this year is over, but bring them to next year's staff training. And I always encouraged all of my family, like, we can do this because we're adventurers and we're smaller. I know Pathfinders can't, but I encouraged all of my families to come. I didn't care if they were staff or not. I says, you know what? AuSable is a beautiful place, and this is a great weekend away. And the two of you, if you have come as a couple, or if one of you comes, it's great, just a great weekend. And then they come. I don't ask them to be staff, but by the time they're done with the weekend, they're saying, oh, I would love to do this. Or they're so excited. They're asking me if they can help. So staff training is a great place to get people excited about your club. So it looks like Dawn's done with her meeting. She's joined us. I think we could say goodbye now. I don't know who's closing out. Is that you, Craig?
You're muted.
I'm not the host, so I'll let Tim know that we can cancel it, because we're still live on YouTube. So
yeah,
I will let Tim know.
All right. God bless every one of you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask any one of us district leaders or Craig.
Thank you so much.
See you guys.
Thank you guys. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was really good. God bless you all.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey guys, we'll see you.
Mm-hmm.
If you need us anymore, Pastor Harris.
Nope. I'm trying to get Tim so he can get the can stop the YouTube.
The live streaming. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I can do it. No.
Did you call him on the phone?
Yeah, he's teaching a class. I'm just texting him anyway.
I always realize I just saw something. It's like, oh, I forgot to talk about that.
Yeah.
I always have
you
more
did
than
a
I
good
have time
job
for.
considering
I
the
brought
time,
my
yeah.
altar. I was going to show my altar.
Yeah.
There's my altar. At least Delia can see. So that's one altar. I actually have a couple because there's so many different ways of doing an altar. And that's a different altar there. So this is paint chips, Pastor Craig.
Yeah, I know.
I use
You
paint
showed that
chips.
to me a couple of years or last.
That's
Yeah,
that's
it's a great
that's
idea.
this side here. It's just paint chips I cut out and
Yeah.
made them look like rocks.
Yeah. Is Sherry teaching it? Sherry was doing, I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
Sherry
call
is with
Sherry.
Sherry and Sonia are together.
Yeah, I would think that they would be done, but I don't know. That way she can get a hold of Tim for us. Yeah, so she should be, she said she'd let him do that or let him know that. So we should be going off here soon.